What if that blood-curdling scream in the dead of night, the one that folklore chills us with, isn't just a prophecy of doom? What if the Banshee's cry carries a message far deeper, far more ancient than simple terror? Let's forget the horror movie jump scares for a sec. We're about to decode the true meaning behind one of Ireland's most enduring and unsettling legends. So when I say Banshee, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably a terrifying ghostly woman, right? Face twisted in agony, her shriek a surefire sign someone's about to die. She's total nightmare fuel, a classic in ghost stories, usually painted as this evil creature bringing nothing but fear. That image of a shrieking old woman spelling doom, that's what most of us think of. A ghostly figure, long hair flowing, floating around at night with a scream that chills you to your very core. That's the horror movie Banshee, the one that has us yanking the blankets up. But is that all there is to her? To really get the Banshee, we've got to go way back to old Irish stories and meet the Bean Side. That's pronounced Banshee, which means woman of the fairy mound, or fairy woman. Now in these older tales, she wasn't automatically evil. Nope, she was a spirit, sometimes a fairy, sometimes a ghost, with deep ties to certain Irish families, especially the really old noble Gaelic ones. Think names like O'Neill, O'Brien, O'Connor, O'Grady, and Kavanagh. Her cry? It wasn't always about scaring people. It was more like a heads up, a spiritual signal that someone in her family was about to pass from this world to the next. And get this, how she looked wasn't just the scary old woman stereotype. She could be a beautiful young woman with long, flowing hair, wearing white or silver, maybe even combing her hair with a silver comb, which was a symbol of her watching over the family. Or yeah, she could be an old woman, but also a dignified-looking lady, someone veiled, or even a woman without a head. This ability to change her appearance tells us she's way more complex than just some monster. Okay, this is where we really start to decode things. That haunting wail of the Banshee, her Caoinead, that's Queena, or keening, it's actually got a super strong link to real, ancient Irish ways of mourning. See, for hundreds of years, Irish funerals had keeners. These were women who'd sing these incredibly sad songs, a real outpouring of grief for the person who died. And these women were respected, like professionals who helped everyone deal with their sadness. So the Banshee's cry, you can think of it as a kind of supernatural echo of this very human grief. It wasn't just some random scream. It was a lament, a really deep, sorrowful song for those about to be lost. Some experts on folklore even think the whole Banshee legend might have grown out of these keening women, maybe the ones who were a bit too tuned into the spirit world, or, as some stories say, those who took alcohol for their services and ended up having to keen on as spirits. So that scream isn't just a warning, it's actual sadness, a spiritual kind of mourning. She doesn't make death happen. She's announcing it and grieving it. In a lot of the stories, she's actually shown as being pretty compassionate, sharing the family's heartbreak. So how did this complicated, often sad spirit turn into the scary figure most of us picture now? Well, as time went on, things changed. Ireland became Christianized, for example, and how people saw these kinds of spirits started to shift. Later stories, and especially pop culture, really started to play up the scary parts. If you look at modern books, movies, and video games, the Banshee often loses those deep family connections and the whole mourning tradition thing. She's usually just a generic horror monster, sometimes with powers that go way beyond the old myths, like smashing glass with her scream or even killing people directly, which wasn't really part of the original stories. You see this in shows like Teen Wolf or Charmed, where they've totally remixed the Banshee for today's supernatural dramas. These new versions keep the legend going, but they often boil her down to just a shriek that's either a weapon or a basic terror signal. Mind you, some newer takes do show her as a more complex, sometimes even tragic character, maybe a guardian, or a symbol of female power. It just goes to show how folklore can change and grow. So what do you think about the Banshee? Did you have any idea about her link to actual mourning customs, or have you mainly seen her as just something scary? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And hey, if you're into uncovering the hidden meanings in folklore like this, Definitely give this video a like and subscribe for more myth-decoding adventures. So the Banshee, the Bean Seedy, she's so much more than just a spooky death signal or a flat, scary monster, isn't she? She's a really complex spirit, a huge part of Ireland's heritage. When you really listen to what her cry means, you find this deep connection to old grieving customs, to family lines, and just to that universal human experience of losing someone. From this spirit guardian mourning for her families, to the horror figure we see today, the way she's changed really shows how our ideas about death, grief, and the supernatural have changed too. So next time you come across a tale of a wailing banshee, maybe try to hear past the scary part. You might just catch an echo of an ancient sadness, a timeless cry that actually tells us a lot about life, not just death.